Hi there, this is David and welcome to the top 10 best JRPG party members. Here, we're not going to be looking at main characters at all. We're only going to be looking at characters that join up later but are so good that they actually outshine the main hero himself. Characters so good you would pretty much be a fool to leave out of your party, so let's get started looking at the cream of the crop. Number 10, Annie of Beyond the Beyond. How is it that Annie, your childhood friend and resident healer, is not only leaps and bounds stronger than Samson, the greatest hero of the land, but even stronger than your hero too? Having huge HP and LP pools ensures her survivability so that she can tank in the front row with the best of them and slaughter the enemies with her staff and holy light magic. She's everything you could ever want in a character, so I don't know why her parents were so reluctant to let her go with you. Funnily enough, even later on towards the end of the game, when you get another backup healer, Lorelei, Annie is still stronger than her, even though she's supposed to be a hybrid monk character, while Annie is just supposed to be your resident cleric. I'm not complaining though, because this game is hard as balls and you need all the help that you can get. Number 9, Ott of Radiant Historia. For those unaware, Radiant Historia has one of the best battle systems ever created, focusing on grid manipulation and placement of enemies to slaughter them to best advantage. And don't let this little tyke fool you, she is a boss bitch able to deal absurd amounts of damage with her traps, sometimes even one-shotting bosses because they're so ridiculously overpowered, especially later on with the ones that you get that cover 2 panels. Even on the rare occasions when your opponent is unmovable or you're not able to trap them for whatever reason, she still shines because she's the fastest character in the game, and I do consider her to be the best healer too. Marco can stuff it as far as I'm concerned. She's also got some pretty neat utility insofar as buffs that prevent status ailments and abilities like Dancing Death, which build up the combo meter for even more damage. Number 8, Ray of Breath of Fire 3. He is just absolutely ridiculous right out of the gate because of the way that the game values speed. Basically, if you're significantly faster than the enemies, you'll get an extra turn, and Ray is easily the fastest of the bunch, so he's constantly flooded with multiple turns. And as if getting 2 turns to everybody else's 1 wasn't good enough, he also has access to some nice electric spells, the ability to steal, and amazing accuracy. So just that should be enough to add him to this list, but Ray is really pushed over the edge by his power to transform into a were-tiger, where he gets huge strength increases at the cost of becoming uncontrollable. But who really cares when he's slaughtering everything in his path indiscriminately? Doesn't that just beat all? Number 7, Citan of Xenogears. There's nothing I like more than getting a fantastic character ridiculously early in the game. We first saw this with Annie, and now we're seeing it again with Citan. He's pretty much invaluable as your only healer for half the game, and he has a lot more going for him as well, such as his incredible speed and HP. I mean, he starts out with well over 200 HP, while Faye has only like 50, and like Ray, he'll be constantly getting 2 turns for every one of his slower compatriots. His physical attacks and combos are nothing to sneeze at either. He's able to keep up with Faye over the course of the game, then even pulls ahead of everybody else in terms of damage when he receives the sword. But the kicker is that he was meant to be a support character with access to white magic, but instead they made him not a jack of all trades, but a master of all trades. Number 6, the Sprite of Secret of Mana. Think of the 3 characters in the game, then think of who would be easiest to solo the game with. If the Sprite didn't immediately come to mind, you're just fooling yourself. This little Spitfire is your black mage, but don't let that fool you. He can easily hold his own. All 3 of the main characters have roughly similar stats across the board with only negligible differences, so it really is magic that sets them apart from each other, and the Sprite's magic is the best, bar none. He can absolutely murder bosses by chain casting against their weaknesses, slaughtering most of them before they can even get a single attack off. In fact, Secret of Mana was one of the few games that I played as a child that I could easily beat with little to no frustration, and that was all due to the Sprite and his extremely versatile yet devastating magic. Number 5. Karn of Breath of Fire. Karn starts off the game innocuously enough. He rounds out the party as your 4th member, and he's just your everyday average thief, able to pick locked doors and chests. By himself, he's probably below average. But it's not much later in the game as you become loaded now with more and more useless characters that Karn really does begin to shine. You see, he can actually fuse together with the useless Bow, Gobi, Ox, and Mogu to create a much stronger character. And we're talking like supremely strong and versatile here. I remember when I played the game as a kid, I really didn't like using Karn because I thought that he was pretty overpowered, and I stupidly thought that it was unfair to the other party members by taking away their limelight. But I didn't realize that trash like Gobi and Mogu have no limelight to begin with. Number 4. Robo of Chrono Trigger. This game has some great iconic characters, but none of them are as powerful and versatile as Robo. As a robot, the guy is naturally a tank with high HP, defense, and attack power, and any normal game would just make him slow and then give him no magic to compensate for that, but not Chrono Trigger. Instead, they gave him some of the best techniques in the game, such as laser spin, which allows him to hit all enemies, and while pretty much everybody else is relegated to using techniques of one element, Robo has access to 3 of them: Shadow, Fire, and Lightning. The only other character who has access to so many elements is Magus himself, but unlike him, Robo has access to great healing too with Cure and Heal Beams. Why they gave seemingly everything to him and shafted some others is beyond me. Number 3. Raquelle of Wild Arms 4. This girl may be dying, but you would never know it from how she handles herself in battle. Raquelle is your resident warrior on the team, the strong but slow type that I normally hate. Except here she has one rather large advantage: Intrude. This is a super cheap skill which allows her to take a second turn after she attacks, and this is combined with her move and attack skill, which allows her to move about the battlefield and then attack nearby enemies all in one turn. Normally moving and attacking would take 2 separate turns for anybody else, but she can combine it into one. So let me tell you how a typical battle in Wild Arms 4 goes. You have Dean, Yulia, and Arnaud just kinda dick around and do whatever until it becomes Raquelle's turn. Then she single-handedly crosses the battlefield, slaughters everything in a hex to get that 25 FP, then she intrudes, does it again, intrudes, does it again, and so on until everything's dead. That's it. Intrude is so overpowered that they made it cost 75 FP in Wild Arms 5 instead of the 25 here, and for good reason. Number 2. Edgar of Final Fantasy VI. Auto crossbow, anyone? Even as a kid, I was keenly aware of a properly balanced party, and I would spend hours trying to put together just the right combination of characters to tackle specific dungeons, but I did try to keep Edgar out of the mix because I just felt like he was cheating. Edgar joins within the first hour of the game, then he proceeds to be able to murder everything in his path all the way up to the world of Ruin, and even there he's still completely overpowered. As a character, his stat growths are above average, and he has some great equipment draws. Not that you'll ever really be attacking with him though, since his tools are just absolutely ridiculous. Do you want to kill things quick? Use auto crossbow. Do you want to rob the enemies blind with lock? Well, then just use Noise Blaster to confuse them. Are you up against a boss? Use the drill for massive single target damage. The guy is just an absolute beast, and as an added bonus, you even get discounts in Figaro if he's leading your party. And finally, number 1, Orlando of Final Fantasy Tactics. When I first played this game, I pretty much never used any of the named characters because I thought that they were pretty much all very overpowered. I preferred to use the generics and really experiment with the job system without resorting to the win the game buttons like him. I guess it was a situation similar to Edgar. He just kind of breaks the game with how good he is. Orlando was able to use every single magic sword skill in the entire game, essentially combining Agrias, Meliadul, and Gafgarion into one completely unstoppable character. You might think that because he has access to so many people's unique skills that he would be handicapped in some other way, but let me assure you, he's not. His stats are all above average and he has absolutely no downsides at all. He's pretty much just a one-man army, able to solo the entire game from the moment that you receive him. Well, that's it for the top 10 best JRPG characters. please be on the lookout for a part 2 because I already have some notes down for some more kernels of greatness. This has been David, and if you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.